Hey everybody, we're back. It's not a post-game show for Forever Mighty today. It is a off-season look at what Bob Murray hasn't done show, or has done, if you feel like going after big-name free agents and what he wanted to do. But we are joined by Eddy, and Jason is joining the show. Welcome, Jason. Live in the studio.
Hi, how are you? How are you, Patrick?
Good. If nobody knows Jay, it's unfortunate.
You're right.
And it's because that probably means you don't listen to our other podcast, the podcast which Eddy joined, obviously. But so here we are, talking Ducks hockey in the middle of 115-degree weather this weekend, which is beautiful.
Stop talking
about
guys.
Well, we got a good show. We got an interview for the end of the show. So Blake McLaughlin and Jack Perbix were kind enough to join Eddy and Jason and do an interview earlier this week. We'll go over Ducks free agency, recap that, get you on to some trade targets, and then, of course, we'll answer any fan questions, which we have loaded up from Twitter. And we apologize for not being live, but that'll be the next show once we clear up our internet issues. So far, so good. Eddy, kick the intro. Let's get this thing rolling.
Get by Benning. Darnell Nurse left it in the corner, gets up center. Perry scores! Corey Perry!
Ilya able to shake away from Solani. It's given away to Solani around in front. Score! Teemu Solani with the steal. And the fans want one. Score! Off the floor! On the board! Paul Kariya!
Still such an awkward interview to do when only one I can hear it is me. So we're all just sitting there waiting for me to come out from the interview.
Or from the intro, you mean?
The intro. Yeah, it's a long day. Long day.
So let's get right to it. Let's talk about the free agency from Bob Murray's perspective about what could he possibly be thinking that he's doing. We all know from all the banter after the season, from him saying to the media how, coming off about how pissed off he was and how he wanted to get younger and faster. And that's, the way of the league. And that's what he needs to do to make change around here. Haven't seen a lot go into any of that. He's basically signed a bunch of guys that are going to be bottom six at best or playing the goals this year, guys. Thoughts just off the bat of what you guys kind of see what he's doing before we get into each player.
Yeah, not really much. I mean, he hasn't really kept on his promise, but I guess we kind of expected that to happen. I mean, the signings have been all bottom six guys and a couple bottom pairing defensemen, and that's pretty much it, a couple AHL deals. And no one is really that fast. I mean, maybe Chase DeLeo is fast. I guess Brian Gibbons has some speed to him. Maybe Anton Rodin. I haven't seen a lot of him because he's played most of his career in Sweden. So, yeah, I mean, it's a bit disappointing, but you look at some of the contracts that have been handed out to some of the top players in free agency, I guess it's kind of a good thing we didn't go after the big heavy hitters. But, yeah, it's tough when he continues to preach change, and this is kind of all we got, and it's not really a huge step up from where we left off.
Yeah, and I always feel like it's almost like a broken record with him. It's things got to change. We didn't really like this. Out with Boudreaux, I just didn't like the way the season ended that way. Throw in Carlisle, and then last season or the other season was Bernier was the problem, and we got to turn things around. So people need to step up. Next year's Prove Me season. That season comes around, and disappointment sweep in the playoffs, and big changes are coming. We need to get faster, younger, all that, and then we just go to free agency and lay that same egg that we do all the time. I mean, he just sits back in free agency, in my opinion, and just waits for, can I grab this guy for $1 million? Can I grab that guy for 1.3? Maybe I can just plug these guys in. And it's like either let the youth come up and stop blocking them from doing it, or legitimately go out and make a big move if you can. He's a little handcuffed with the contract he's already given out. But do something, because I'm tired. It's just a broken record last 3 seasons, but wait here for something significant. And other than Brian Miller coming in as backup, I can't see anything too significant that he's brought over in free agency.
Yeah, and it's always been the bottom pairing defenseman that he's always liked to put the veteran guys on. You want to get faster and you want to get younger. He didn't really do that at all. So we'll go across the board here and talk about the guys that he has brought on. The first player that we'll talk about here is Anton Rodin.
Who?
Yeah. He played for Utica in the AHL.
Oh.
He's a winger. He also played in Davos over in Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. Eddie, you would know better than I would.
Cares.
But I mean, some people were saying they were kind of excited to see him come back over, but to me, that's an AHL signing. I don't see him really making any impact on the big club.
Yeah, I'd like to know who said they were excited with him coming back over. I mean, he's played, I think, 3 games with Vancouver and a couple with Utica, and that's it. The rest of his experience was early in his career in Sweden. I think he played in Switzerland last year for like 8 games, and I think then it was an injury-riddled season for him. I think he's 27, I believe. So, it's like, I think it's a San Diego signing. Maybe he gets a couple call-ups just from his international experience that you could plug him in a bottom 6 role, and maybe he can make a difference. I mean, you never know with these guys. All the guys who come over from Europe, you see a lot of them pretty much every season. I think Buffalo signed a couple this year. Toronto did a few. You kind of just hope that they're that diamond hiding over in the SHL, and that they're going to come over and be a suitable player on your team. Maybe he can. I haven't seen enough of him in the NHL to really say that. I mean, it's a decent signing. It's a 1 year. You're not paying him too much to kind of risk that maybe he turns out to be something. If he doesn't, then whatever, you play him in San Diego and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. And this is why I kind of thought when some of the signings were happening, okay, they're bolstering the AHL because some of those guys, the younger ones, they may be trying to bring up to play in the big club, that sort of deal. But then you kind of look at some of the other ones too, and then you're like, okay, well, those guys are probably actually going to play in the NHL. Now he's kind of blocking whatever moves he's trying to make.
I don't understand the excitement. Like Eddie said, it's like I've never heard of him. And maybe he's fast, and maybe he's going to add some sort of speed to the bottom 6. But moving on, the Ducks signed another goaltender. They were able to pick up Jared Careau. It's a 1 year, 2-way deal with the Ducks, so he's going to be back and forth from the AHL, NHL level. But he didn't have very good numbers the last time that he was able to see anything with a big club, and that was with Detroit. So I don't know. Just patting the goaltending down in the AHL is what it looks like to me.
Yeah, pretty much. I think most of his experience has come in the AHL, and he played a handful of games over the last few seasons with Detroit, and his numbers weren't great. So I think he probably plays with Kevin Boyle. But, I mean, yeah, it's an uninspiring signing, but you add some goaltender depth. Of course, it's going to be Gibson and Miller. Then Kevin Boyle got re-signed earlier in the offseason, so bringing in a guy to kind of backstop there. And they're really making a push, I think. I mean, I think they want San Diego to be good, as well as the Ducks, of course. But, with all the young guys coming into San Diego and then bringing in a lot of these bottom 6 guys that could be back and forth, it kind of helps them up. And I guess it gives you some freedom to maybe call up the young guys if they're playing well. If you want to, kind of put a positive spin on it, that, maybe with all these bottom 6 veteran guys coming in that could play in San Diego, if Sam Steele just is too good for the AHL, or Max Jones, or even Josh Mahura, that you can give them a chance when you've got these guys to fill in.
As far as all of those players you guys named that just signed, I don't know who any of those guys are, and at this point I'm too ashamed to ask.
Moving on, the Ducks picked up forward Carter Rowney. Just 3-year deal for him, $3.5 million. This is something that kind of sparked a little outrage on Twitter. It seemed like people were upset that he got paid a little bit. He had 12 points in 71 games last season. I don't know a lot of his game. Eddie, do you know a lot about his game here? You can tell anybody?
No, but I don't get the outrage. I mean, you look at all the bad contracts we've given out. Why are we so worried about it?
Any time that Bob does anything, I've been guilty of getting mad about it too.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about this guy to be upset about it. I mean, he played parts of 2 seasons with Pittsburgh. That's pretty much all I know about him. He put up 12 points, and he's 29. So to me, he's a 4th-line player. He's going to be a bottom 6 forward if he plays in Anaheim at all.
He's like an energy guy, but I think people, when they originally saw it, I think Eric Stevens put out was 3. He just said 3 years at 3.4. So I think people thought it might have been like a 3 by 3.4, and maybe that's where the panic came from, because at 1.1, I think it's just over that is what he's getting paid over 3 years. That's nothing. I mean, it doesn't really matter if he's getting, it's not going to affect you on the cap, and he's still a guy who can play. So I don't see if the outrage was over. Like if everybody knew it was 1.1, then that's you're getting a little bit too antsy for no reason. But he'll probably play fourth line with Gibbons and Ritchie or whoever they decide to put down there, or he could go down to San Diego if he clears waivers.
Another guy who's coming up to the Ducks, Ben Street. He's a center. He played 428 games in the AHL, scored 357 points. Seems like he's going to be going straight back to the AHL. I don't imagine him coming up into the Ducks' bottom six. Do you guys have any thoughts on Ben Street?
I know the name. That's the thing, and I just don't know if it's because the last name Street is pretty
it's a
easy
pretty
to
common
recognize.
word.
A pretty common word to see, but I feel like I've heard of him. And he might have been something that was talked about a long time ago, but pretty much barely played in the NHL. Has he played in the NHL? I don't know stats.
Oh, man, I have to go back and double check. I just know
I don't think so.
He's got a lot of NHL numbers.
You don't think he's played at all? Okay, because I feel like I've heard the name, but once again, it was just, this guy's here.
He'll play probably the entire season in San Diego. I don't see how he gets up over guys like Chase DeLeo, who they just traded for, or Kalle Kossela or Sam Steele. I don't see how he gets a call up over any of those guys.
So here's a speed player the Ducks brought on, Brian Gibbons, as we mentioned here a couple of times already. 125 NHL games spread over across 3 seasons. He's got 48 points. He started on a high end in the beginning of the season last year. He actually led the Devils in points over Taylor Hall, or goals rather, I think, over Taylor Hall. But Taylor Hall clearly would take that back and, of course, won MVP.
What was that like over the first 5 games? He had
was the first 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's a good fourth-line guy, from my understanding. He brings energy and speed. So that's like the scouting report out on him.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's really going to move the needle. I think there's a good upside opportunity here if he's able to. I mean, if he pots 20 goals this season or 15 goals this season, I'm going to call that a win.
How old is he?
He's 29 or 28.
Yeah, he's like 29, 30, I think. He's like right around that age. So it's not like he's not too old. Yeah, and it's a 1 year
deal. Is it like
deal.
a Jason Chimera thing? He's a little faster. Showed some signs at some point in his career, and now we're going to give him a shot.
He's 30.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of close to like, but Jason Chimera was like he's 37, so it's like it's like 4 years ago. Jason Chimera was like a pretty good player to put on your fourth line. I think the difference with Brian Gibbons is like he was a good player last year on the fourth line for New Jersey, and like that was like his coming out party. And the only risk here is can he do that again with a different team? He was kind of relied upon a bit, and I think he was given some more opportunities to play. Probably more minutes than he'll get in Anaheim when he was in New Jersey, so we'll see if he can do that. But I think he's a guy like what Derek Grant was for the Ducks last year, where you can kind of pop him wherever you need him. If you need him to play second line minutes, you can. If you need him to play third or fourth, then he'll do that. And I think you're not going to hear too much. But he's not going to be a flashy guy, but for what you got him for a year, if he puts up 25, 30 points, I think it's a win.
Kind of interesting, though. He's a right wing, and the Ducks, they already got a bunch of right wingers. So
I think he plays all over the place, though. I think you already
got Eves, you got Perry, you got Kasha, you got Silverberg, and now you have Gibbons. It's kind of like, where are you going to put this guy if he's going to play in the NHL? I mean,
left wing.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to. A lot of guys don't like playing on their off wing, though. It's just kind of a stylistic thing where they play. So I don't know, just interesting. He's not I know we've been talking a little bit about the possibility of Jakob Silverberg being traded. He's not a Silverberg replacement to me. I think Silverberg's a little more valuable, or a lot more valuable. But that's also pending you're talking about an extension for Silverberg. He's going to need one here in, I think, a season or so. So interesting to see where this guy's going to fit in the lineup. Now we got the guys that we've all heard of, but are not really happy about coming over to the Ducks, unfortunately. These are just depth guys, though. So it's just, I guess I'm more disappointed, I should say, that it's not an impactful player. It doesn't move the needle too much more either way when you're talking about a bottom pairing defenseman. But Luke Schenn signs a 1-year deal with the Ducks.
Wrong Schenn, right?
Yeah, right.
It's not on Braden.
I would take Braden in a heartbeat, right? Yeah. I don't care if he plays defense or not. He can just roam, whatever. Luke Schenn, big guy, slow. These next two guys we're talking about, they're essentially...
You're talking about foot speed, right?
Yeah. We're talking... These are replacements for Bieksa and Boscheman. they're just younger. And it's just, to me, it doesn't really matter. It's just like Bob always wants these guys in the lineup for whatever reason. I wasn't thrilled about it, but